Today, I want to take you on a little journey with me. What began as a 6-week study on world hunger and poverty at Triumphant Lutheran Church in Austin, Texas, has been a remarkable journey. And I'm going to go through 6 weeks in about the next 3 minutes. No. Actually, it was a wonderful study. It engaged us in a process that we frankly really am thankful to the Lord for what has happened. And I'm told by Tim that if I start talking too long, he's going to pull on my coat so I'll know when to stop. So what transpired following this was we had enough money to do 12 wells. A friend of mine, Dick Miller, a member of our congregation, decided to write a not-for-profit, tax-free organization called Water to Thrive. Frankly, that process then went statewide and now nationwide in our efforts. And would you imagine that in 2.5 years, we have now funded 150 water points, water wells in Ethiopia, serving almost 100,000 rural Ethiopians, something that I would never have dreamed possible. I spent 35 years in industry, and we talked about rolling out new projects, new developments, new things each year that we would hope that in 5 years might generate the kinds of profits that would generate more products. In 2.5 years, 150 freshwater wells. Now, it is changing the lives, and as the message was delivered, it is in the doing. Not in the talking, not in just thinking about it, but in the doing. First, I want to talk a little bit about the problem, and you know the problem. By age 5, 20 to 40% of all children die as a result of waterborne diseases. Then the solution, fresh water. And if there's anything more basic in life than fresh water, I don't know what it is. For those of you who may have studied Maslow's needs hierarchy, know it's right on the bottom. We don't live without it. Nothing lives without it. And then finally, the joy, the gratitude, and more. This was the first thing that hit us when we traveled to Ethiopia in October. We went to a project that we were completed this past year, 2010, that we funded a major well. It serves over 10,000 people. This is what we were met with because this is what they were using for their water supply before the well. Can you imagine drinking that water? Not boiling it, not putting a pill in it, drinking it as it came out of that pond. That's what we're trying to change. That's what we're about. This is another example when we visited a spot where, in fact, the women and the children were picking out the water, one little scoop at a time, putting it into those jerry cans, those yellow large cans, which weigh about 45 to 50 pounds, putting it on their back and walking miles and miles, carrying it on their back. They literally developed calluses across their breast from the ropes that hold those water jerry cans. And some of them are also carrying a baby at the same time. We will have a jerry can with us at the luncheon this noon to give you an idea of what one weighs, and if you pick it up and carry it, it gives you an example. A changing of a life. This is an interesting picture, and I'm going to show you 2 of these. This happens to be a stream, and we were there right at the end of the rainy season, so these streams are flowing. In a couple of months, they may be dried up completely. And where they were gathering water, such as they are here, they would not be able to gather the water here, but walk additional miles to find the water, and maybe under a rock that they picked up to pull the water out, because there is no stream. And you see, it is open grazing, absolutely no fences. So the children will go to school half days, and so the children in the morning, maybe one sibling will watch the cattle, and then in the afternoon they'll switch places. The one that watched the cattle in the morning goes to school in the afternoon. The one watching cattle goes, one that was in school in the morning goes watch cattle in the afternoon. And they take them to drink water. And you know what happens with cattle and water. And here you see them shampooing. The lady is doing laundry and then picking water out of that stream, taking it home and drinking it. The next picture is an example of what's going to happen next. It's rush hour at the stream. So the goat herders are up there waiting for the cattle to leave, and you see the cattle are leaving now while the goats are coming in. So it's a constant process. It is not a simple thing like we would like to think can happen when there is fresh water. It is a process where, in fact, it is constant and forever happening. And at no time while we were traveling there did we not see people doing these very things. Watching cattle, watching the crops, if you will. Why would they watch the crops? Because the boys, and mostly the boys at that point, would be out there with a slingshot standing on top of the crop, waving it around to keep the birds away. And again, exchanging with a brother or a sister for the afternoon shift. The next picture is one of the most emotional things that happened for us. As Rennie and I stood there at that well, we came to the realization that in the summer and fall of 2007, we did the 6-week study. At the end of that, we funded wells. This is one of the first wells funded. So by the time the money was put in place, the beginning of 2008, this well was pumping water at the end of June. In 6 months' time, money went from the U.S. to Ethiopia, and water was flowing. Standing there and thinking that for 2.5 years, 500 people have had fresh water every day that never had fresh water in their life before. That emotion hit me like a ton of bricks to realize that 500 people's lives have been changed by one well. And we now have 150 that have been done in 2.5 years. If you think you can't have goosebumps that have goosebumps, it's possible. And if you think my heart wasn't beating faster than ever in my life, it was happening. Because we knew that lives were changed. And when we asked the question, are the children in school? And the answer is, all of our children are in school. And when we asked the question, are you disease-free? And they say, thank God. And when we said to them that this well is from the grace of God, they said, yes, we thank God daily. And then we thank the funders who made this well possible. Can you imagine the embrace you feel that God is right there with you? Because that realization was powerful, just powerful. That's some of the joy. Here is an example of 3 ladies carrying those jerry cans. Notice the middle lady. That's a clay pot. Can you imagine the weight she's carrying? And she's walking again for miles with that on her back. And you think they aren't stooped over after a while? Again, it just kind of draws you right into it. Know that their life, and they'll spend 2, 3, 4 hours a day doing it. So what time do they have to do other things? So these ladies will say to you once they have fresh water, and in this case, they were at a well, so it's not like they were before that taking up the bad water. They're now getting fresh, clean water. Clean water for their family. Clean water to be able to live disease-free. Yes, I can hear it. Joy, huh? Can you imagine washing your face for the first time with clean water? There's an eye disease, trachoma, that these children will have if they don't have the ability to wash their face. And again, these children in rural Ethiopia have no water to wash their face with, no clean water to wash their face. So when they get this opportunity, it's one of the first things they'll do. And they'll do it because they want to get their eyes clean. And they know that it takes water. Probably, again, one of the more emotional things we had while traveling there is for us to be standing next to a woman holding a baby whose eyes are clearly diseased, and they say, help me, help me, help me. Well, without fresh water, there is no help. And so that's our whole effort, is doing and providing fresh water for these children to be able to bathe. And of course, that stream you saw was better than no water, but it still had disease in it and all the fecus material from those cattle. This lady really hit us as a very impressionable situation, and I'm sorry that picture is a little dark there, but that smile on her face was something we saw over and over and over again, from young children to moms and dads to the elderly person, just saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. And the words thank you were said by people, that's probably the only English words they knew, but they knew thank you, and they would say it and say it and say it. One of the additional things that happened along the way, and I'm thinking about young children again when I see this, we'd be walking along, and a lot of the terrain we'd walk on would be very, very rugged, and some of it very, very rocky. A young boy about so tall would come over and grab Rennie's hand and say, let me help you. And they could speak English. That's how they learn it in school. And you say, this is pretty rough terrain. I'd like to help you. And a big smile on their face, and they knew we were there with the water. We'd be driving with the four-wheelers out in the countryside, and I'm talking not on roads. I'm talking through fields, and I'm talking along terrain that you need a four-wheeler. And the children would run from wherever they came from just to wave at us and smile. It was very clear that they knew who we were and what we represented because we were bringing water to them. Again, you want to talk about your heart being in places all the time. That was there very, very often. Finally, what can you do? And we're going to talk a lot more about this, we hope, today. First of all, please pray for our project. Please pray for our continuance. Chatting with Tim before, how do we spread our word? We spread our word by sharing it like this with you. We hope you'll take it home to your congregation. Look on our website. It's right there for you to take a look at. We have a lot of information there. Becky is here today with us. She is our only part-time employee, and she's happy to work with any congregation. We work across the state, and as I say now, across the nation. Dick, who is the fellow who wrote the 501(c), is in Springfield in Wittenberg College yesterday and today, spreading the word in Ohio. So we're there. We're now have projects funded from about 6 states around the country, and we're looking and expect we'll have a lot more over the next few months. Start an effort to fund a well. We have examples with a lot of colleges who are beginning this process. And some of our fellow Lutheran colleges now have programs going, and we hope that that'll happen, that you'll come together and find a way to do that. It's not that difficult. And we know there are people who want to find a way to do this, and I could tell you anecdotal stories that just are very warm to me and the things that have happened. Join us today for pizza. I'm glad Tim is buying. No. But it'll be a nice chance for us to chat. And bring your questions. And we hope to see you again and again and again. And we get things cranking here.